It was in a massive spot, guys. We have seen stock price break out of this incredibly clean descending triangle, which has played out over the last few months, guys, being a very meaningful long movement. And now we've seen the breakout to the upside with some strong liquidity, guys. That being said, my name is Dylan from Dylan's Trades. We're going to break straight into this technical analysis breakdown. First, coming over on the weekly analysis. On the weekly analysis, guys, we had a great representation of how these structures play out, as we just did have one play out about 1 year ago, right? We had this very textbook setup where stock price forms these lower highs pushing into this very equal low, sometimes slightly raising higher. Hence here, if we flip to the daily, we're slightly ascending higher. You could arguably say and put this horizontal and say we're pushing this level. I don't hate that at all, but roughly, guys, we're pushing into this rough level with setting these rough highs. So as of now, we are breaking to the upside, and it does look very good. As we had the exact same mirrored structure on the same exact level just occurred not too long ago, and this did leave stock price around that $4 level. We did skyrocket up to $7.70 in 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5 weeks. So really gotta love NIO right here on the weekly analysis. I've been keeping an eye on NIO for a while, as it's just in a very good spot to reverse here, guys. I mean, we've seen these lows defended very hardcore in this rough area. Being over here, roughly in the past, whenever we break big areas with NIO, you see a lot of respect to it. Right, hence over here is a massive level. We come down and bounce. We get a pretty decent surge up from this level. We didn't even have any technical indication. We had a little bit of a descending channel, right? But when we bounce from this level, we get a quick movement up in 37%. So see now that we've really been testing this level for over a year now, right? Getting a lot of respect from this level, a big bounce up, boom, a massive rise to $6, right? We come back down to this level, pushing to 770, and now we've just been grinding around, getting a couple nice rips up, but ultimately ripping down. Now we kind of false broke beneath this, really adding fuel to the fire for the buyers as short sellers are trapped within their position. We push back up, rejected, and now we've been grinding down to this rough level. And now once again, we've closed a little bit below that for a few weeks before ultimately defending these lows. So this is a very nice setup, and we do have a higher low being formed on the weekly analysis as well. So a lot of good signs here. We're seeing a bullish engulfing as well, being that this big, massive wide bar has completely engulfed this last body, and arguably the last couple. This one didn't quite pull that low, but so we're seeing a bullish candlestick pattern exiting with volume over a very nice structure, guys. NIO has been very prone to these kind of movements leading to the upside. So on the weekly analysis, guys, we should be expecting a test within these rough highs within this $4.80, $5 level. If we go mark that up to be exact, as we have got a lot of our data points actually deleted around that 490 level, guys, would make sense to at least go up and test that. So I do feel there's a lot of upside here for NIO, and I think we're likely to kind of form out what we did in the past here, right? We had 1 week continuation, 2, a little bit of a pause for 3 weeks, then 4, 5, ultimately topping out over here, guys. But this looks very nice. Before we go jump over to the daily, we're gonna go over the monthly analysis, just get a very grand scheme of things. So if you told new investors back here that we're going to regress all the way back down after this crazy run up, they wouldn't believe you. But that's what we did, right? We're coming back down within this initial IPO range, this rough pocket, and now we're starting to get some nice bottom out signs. So you could make an argument within the long term, this could be the low, where we start to kind of reverse, work our way up, ultimately pushing to these higher levels, $8, $9. I don't want to go that far as of yet. We'll just focus on what's in front of us, guys. But with that being said, on the weekly analysis, we look incredibly bullish, guys. Just look very nice. And the cherry on the top is seeing this descending volume profile, and then we see a nice break over that. So a lot of bullish signs on here, guys. And the last thing, last thing, right? See the Bollinger Band is getting very tight, guys, and looks like we are breaking over the center point. So gotta love what we're looking like on the weekly analysis. On the daily analysis for NIO, we look very good, guys. As previously we did get this technical breakdown, right? We had a big movement up, sharp movement up, leading into this, this pennant-like formation, very similar in nature. We had to consolidate before breaking down, immediately being picked up at these lows, finding new touch points at these tops, right? Forming now a bullish structure, being this descending triangle formation, ultimately breaking over the top. Something notable, guys, it's always nice to see stock price behave within this in the apex. This highlighted region is called the apex within the structure, where there's not much more room for stock price to make a movement. As when you meet this level, where the sellers have been stepping in at the highs and buyers have been defending the lows, right? When we get to the apex, something has to happen. And when we've seen the apex squeeze out, we've seen a little bit of a micro range on the daily, where stock price went to the ceiling, to the floor. Just getting very, very tight, building energy for the next movement. And then we've seen the break over the top of this range and the descending triangle at once, being a double confirmation breakout with an ascension in volume. The next day led to a very nice movement within price action, guys. So yeah, that looks great, guys. And the other notable thing is that we are seeing a volume profile increase. If we pull up our volume indicator, notice how we're pretty thin, guys. Not really doing a whole lot prior to this, while we're in this daily range within the apex of the structure. Getting dull. And then we've seen them break out with volume and it's continued to ascend. If we see this volume profile continue to rise up, guys, I mean, that looks phenomenal. As once again, we had the same exact structure play out not too long ago with this very beautiful descending resistance marker, pushing into these obvious lows. And when we did break out, guys, if we take a horizontal line, notice how history often does repeat itself, especially with these technical setups, right? We didn't get the volume confirmation, guys, actually till this candle over here. But once we got that volume confirmation, we pushed from the high of this, $4.90 to $7. So I really do believe that stock price can double here, guys. I wouldn't be shocked to see this thing go to $8, especially being that, once again, we have been in this very rough downtrend more or less since the topping over here, just kind of grinding down. Sellers have been dominating this trend, but now we're seeing a sharper version within this very, very tight squeeze and a pop. So I really think NIO is very, very set out here. I wouldn't say a great buying opportunity because the obvious buying opportunity was this 350 level, but I do expect stock price to reach $4.90, potentially $7, $8 within the future. So it could be a good buying opportunities, but nonetheless, guys, we're seeing a very technical setup to the upside, and we are in contention for potentially breaking out, setting a higher low, right, and then moving up higher, kind of ending this really crappy just downtrend. It's not really much going on. So gotta love what we're looking like on the daily analysis. We are expecting higher price action levels. What a beautiful setup, guys. On the hourly analysis, you see how stock price once again was in this range we mentioned, getting very, very tight, going from the top to the floor, getting from the top, right, almost to the floor, to the top, right, to the top, back down to the floor, just kind of jambling between. We did get the breakout underneath, and this is a classic break and then a retest. This is a great risk reward setup. We perfectly bounced on the top of this range, right around the descending resistance marker as well, and then perfectly skyrocketed up here, guys. Since then, we have seen some strong liquidity pump into the markets with a very, very meaningful movement up. And now we're setting a kind of flag-like formation. I think that's the most likely scenario. We could consolidate for a few more days, perhaps 2, 3, maybe as minimum as 1. Maybe we do just take off, but having this sharp movement up, exiting this structure, we have the perfect flagpole-like structure set up for this tight introspective consolidation to lead to the upside, probably pushing after breaking out that 420 level, guys. NIO is very prone to these kind of setups, guys, so keep this in mind. With that being said, we also squeezed past these very, very important highs over here. We had a lot of trouble in the past, guys, around this rough 390 zone. We did kind of get the close over, not quite in the clears of yet, but holding over that, it does look pretty good. So on the hourly analysis, we did predict about a day or two consolidation, squeezing out, getting tight before the next movement up. With that being said, guys, on the weekly analysis, we're perhaps breaking and bottoming out from this very, very big downtrend, right? We are setting a higher low, crescendoing up with some very bullish divergence, breaking out of this descending triangle. On the daily analysis, we get a better perspective of this nice descending triangle breakout with the volume confirmation. Stock price looks very, very prime, especially if we keep seeing volume pump up here, guys. This thing could be lights out, a very quick moving up, perhaps moving up 20% in a day. Something very incredible. And last but not least, the hourly analysis. We've seen the break and the retest, offering big money a good perspective to step in within this region. And we're seeing stock price hold up pretty nicely after this massive rise up, holding its gains quite well. If we completely 180 here and just knife down, it's a little bit weaker, but we're seeing everything we want to see. So consider subscribing for unbiased live technical analysis price updates. Have a good day, guys. Take care, trade smart, and peace.